What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nick. Just want to hit y'all with a little bit of information this morning, man. I was up doing some research a little bit earlier, and I came across this article, man. I was just basically looking into the formation of America, trying to find a little bit of information about it, surrounding it, just doing a little bit of reading about it. But when I was doing so, I came across this treaty, and it kind of sparked my interest. I was just like, oh, okay, I'll go back on it, look at it, see what they're talking about. But basically, it's a treaty of peace and amity. And it was signed in Algiers on September 5th, 1795 or whatever, by America and Algiers, which is a Moroccan state. A lot of y'all know that the Berber Moors enslaved so-called people. All right. Now, this treaty basically sheds light onto that situation. By 1795, America had been established and they had become their own colony. Now, the Moroccans had basically observed them as being a nation and was the first people to open their ports to them and told them that, hey, man, y'all come over here and trade with us. And not only that, they extended protection to them and told them, hey, man, we'll help y'all out even if some other country try to fight y'all. If anybody else try to interfere with y'all, we'll help y'all out. Now, basically, this treaty is going on to reaffirm that and just basically show them that they actually got their support. So I was reading through this treaty and I was thinking, okay, well, maybe, maybe I'll see some shit about some slavery because this is at the height of slavery, right? Maybe I'll see some shit about slavery, talking about how they got slaves and this and that. Talking about, what they're going to do if they find them with a ship full of slaves or something like that, if they're going to help them with their slaves or something like that. I was thinking that maybe this treaty might shed a little light onto that. Well, it did in a way, but not the way that I expected it to. It kind of clarified what we had already been talking about, that we were never slaves, It was not us who had to be worried. Okay, now basically it's 22 articles in this whole treaty. And 21 of them don't talk about nothing but water. And they talk about what's going to happen if they was to cross each other's path on the sea. It's going to talk about how, they'll meet each other. They'll make sure, discuss everything. They'll show their papers and all this other stuff. Make sure that everybody knew who everybody was and that nothing was going wrong. And it'll be all smooth sailing from now on, Basically, it's just explaining the procedures that would happen. Okay, but whenever you get down here to Article 12 is a little bit different. Not necessarily. It's just talking about slaves, actually. It talk about what would happen in the event that a slave be found on board of your ship. Like, let's say one of the Moroccan slaves had been found on your ship. Well, Article 12 explains what would happen in that scenario. And it also shed a little bit of light onto who the actual slave was and the position that this person had to be in order to be a slave. Okay? And I'm just going to read this whole article first, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to explain it to you a little bit and tell you what I got out of it. Okay? Say Article 12. Article ye 12th, I'm assuming that's saying the. No citizen of the United States of America, of North America, shall be obliged to redeem any slave against his will, even should he be his own brother. Neither shall the owner of a slave be forced to sell him against his will, but as such agreements must be made by consent of parties. Should any American citizen be taken on board an enemy ship by the cruisers of this regency, having a regular passport specifying they are a citizen of the United States, they shall be immediately set at liberty. On the contrary, they having no passport, they and their property shall be considered lawful prizes, as this regency know their friends by passport. Okay? Then Article 12 is basically saying, that no citizen of the United States of America shall be obliged to redeem any slave, meaning that he should not have to give up his slave, even if it's his own brother. Now, you got to ask yourself, if you as an American captain and you as an American sailor, so-called white man, these people who they talking about running around, being the American colonists. Now, if your brother is considered to be a slave, what really going on for your brother to be a slave? For it to be your own brother that can be considered to be a slave. Now, you got white people that's obviously on board. Now, if you as brothers with white people and that person is a slave, who do you think they really is talking about being a slave? Now, basically, you got to put yourself into the shoes of what's going on. Put yourself into the perspective that's being said. These people were already being enslaved all the time, okay? Now, they pull over a ship of what seems to be like slaves, okay? They already about to seize them. But these people produce passports that says, hey, we got a treaty. We are okay. We are not slaves. We are free. Those people right there are the ones who actually had to present passports and stuff like that. You had to have paper in order to say, hey, I'm not a slave. That was their passport. Without a passport, look what it says. They shall become lawful prizes. What is a prize? A prize is something that you win, that you own, that is yours now. So all the people that's on board become their prizes. In other words, they become slaves. So just like they was doing, now let's say this whole boat of Americans did not have any passports on that boat. That's a whole boat of white Americans sailing up and down the coast. They get caught by these Berber Moors, and guess what's going to happen to them? They're going to become enslaved. Like it says, they become lawful prizes. All right. Now, to me, this really is saying a lot. You know, my comprehension may not be the best, but from my understanding, what it's basically saying is that these people would become slaves if they did not have proper passports. Nowadays, everywhere that you gotta go, you gotta have a passport, or what will happen to you? You might get imprisoned. You might get enslaved. The same things that was happening back then. Now, see, y'all gotta understand, man. This stuff affected them much more than it did us. Now, I also want you to understand that who the people was that they was making these treaties with. Now, like I said, it was the Berber Moors or whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and this is the dude. This is one of the dudes that signed it. So we're gonna go ahead and find him right quick. I found a picture of him on Google. But let me go ahead and get back to his image real fast. Where he was at. Okay, here we go. It's a little bit more clear. All right, but if you look at this picture, man, this is who they was making the treaties with. This is the dude. You see the dude right there, right? See the white man? He was the one who had to make a treaty, who's had a brother who could have possibly been a slave. Now look at all the people that he making treaties with. These are the people that they're talking about if you got a slave on board. And if you did not have papers to prove that you was not a slave, guess what? You become a lawful prize. Now these are the people, man. Their history is right in front of our face. But instead, we ignore it, and we have allowed them to reverse their roles because we don't simply understand what has happened. You know? Now, what else would be happening for a man to have a brother that is a slave? You know? Mixing, for one. Freemasonry was built on mixing. It was built on a half-breed society. And a lot of these people, like I said in one of my videos, man, these people went around, and the reason why you got all that symbolism, all these different fraternities, these signs, these insignias, is because of the fact that they had to show separation from the actual slave. So the Freemason actually had to be able to go out here and throw up gang signs, so to say. So whenever the slave patrols would come by, the British slave patrols back in their society, because our people didn't interact with that. Now, when I talk about this, it's two different societies that was taking place. You had the British American Society, which had black people in it, and the mixed Freemasons that was in it. And then you also had the Indian Society, which was our people that was actually non-political and then didn't want to politic with these people. We got led into politics, and that didn't happen until later on within the 1900s and stuff like that. That was a process that happened. But in the initial foundings around this point in time, our people didn't want to have nothing to do with that. These people were given lands in our land and basically encroached on it, and they set up their own government. So you had two different types of people that was out here. You had the British American Moor, and then you had the Freemason, white person, so-called, and the enslaved persons. You know, these people got freed 1776. They created a Freemason society. These people worked they ass off until 1865 in order to get enough land, like Virginia, they colony set up, in order to free what they called the slave, the Slovakian person. All the people that was that was being chased down by these Moors in 1865 when America said, hey, let's free them up. Guess what? All of them people said, we got to go seek refuge in a place where we are free. And guess what? In 1910, the largest migration of white people in history happened. And it came directly to the American ports. All of these people in America came here. I mean, all of these immigrants came here. And guess what? They was refugees, aka slaves. They want to tell you that they was indentured service and shit like that because there's a suppression of white slavery. People do not want you to understand that they were actually the slave. They do everything in their will to tell you that it was us. It wasn't. Okay, now they got papers that prove it. But see, the thing is that they go along spinning history so much and keep on repeating it that you got dumbed down people that will actually accept it without doing any analytical information or any analyzing on their own. They won't analyze shit. They'll just go off and say, yeah, man, somebody else said it, I believe it. Hey, everybody else said it, I'm going to run with it. But the thing about it is, man, that's why we got to fact check. You know, if we don't go back and do our research, we'll continuously get lost, you know. But I mean, you just look at it, man. You look at, I mean, the timeline of events. I'm going to make a video one of these days that basically break down the timeline of events. I always say I'm going to do it, but y'all got to understand, man, I'm very busy. I got about to be 6 children. You know, I don't have time to get on here. I run my own business and have to do everything on my own, man. I got a lot on my plate. But at the same time, this is the most important thing to me is being able to get our futures clear for my children, man. I don't want them to have to do all this work. I don't want them to have to go back and figure out shit. You know, that's why I'm working so hard now and trying to do what I can do, man. But the thing about it is I want to do a timeline of events because if y'all was to actually sit down and go through this timeline, you will see that there's no way possible that these white people was in power and there's no other alternative for them to be anything but a slave. Like I told you, man, a lot of them people cannot show any generational wealth. They cannot show no wealth of their family prior to the 1900s. Most of them people, I went to school with, a lot of them got farms and stuff like that. They was on farms, but guess what? They had just got them. Most of them people had just got big-ass farms in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s that their family did not have nobody living on. They couldn't do nothing with it because they didn't have no people to occupy it. They had the money that was given to them in order to go buy it, but they did not have anybody to work the land. So then they was able to get extra money to start bringing in cheap labor, and now they selling it to all these foreigners, okay? The thing about it is, man, is that they making money now because of the fact that they got foreign immigration that has forced its way into America simply because we have lost all the political control, economical control, and physical control of our land. We used to have it. People don't understand. I speak about money, man. All these Freemasonic people out here do not want to do it. People don't want to talk about the money because that is their goat. That is what they got. That is what gives them their power, man. You know what I mean? That's their ultimate thing, is to protect that money. That's what gives them that control over all of our people. We being controlled by a piece of paper. People look at a tree out here that's worth nothing. But guess what? These people chop that tree down and make it into $1 billion. And now we'll go out here and sell everything that we see in our face just for that little tree that they done turned into some possession, man. Like I say, man, with this timeline of events, 1910, largest migration in American history of white people. Largest migration of white people in history, right here to America, all right? 1910, you start getting all of these people, and guess what? A lot of them Jewish. And guess what? A lot of them bankers. And guess who they started coming down here politicking with? People like W.E.B. Du Bois. Y'all say skin color don't matter, but guess what? W.E.B. Du Bois played both sides of the field. He was the type of nigga that got us into the influence of these people. He got us politicking with them. They already was over there using that paperback system that basically derived people of their natural possessions, and he brought that shit to our forefronts. He is the one that pushed political structure into our people. We said, listen, we don't need that. We don't need to worry about that. They ain't doing nothing but manipulating us. But through his diligence, he kept going, okay? 1930. He finally got us into politics with them. But if you look at 1910, man, 1910, these people come here. They broke as hell. They don't have no money. By 1929, guess what? They're in a deep depression to the point where these folks can't even survive. Most of their people are dying at just unbelievable rates. All right? Between 1929 and 1931, or 1932, they was in a depression. And all of a sudden, they come out of a depression. By the 1940s, by the 1930s, they had started to climb. oh man, it started becoming, just everything. They was getting everything. But what really happened in that between 1930 and 1940 that most people don't want to recognize is that America came up with this Federal Reserve thing. This Federal Reserve is what is what deprived us from all of our shit. We basically, politicking with W.E.B. Du Bois, decided to go along with what they had came up with, this idea to put everybody in America onto one monetary system. And guess what? We did it. But they never did check where these people getting their money from. So when we traded all our money in for they green dollar or whatever, they Federal Reserve note, we evenly exchanged it. Everybody who had what, so whenever I went over there and I traded my 50 in and I got 50 back, I seen you only had 20, you got 20 back, I felt like everything was fair. That's the only checks and balances that we did in the beginning. Well, as it went on, nobody checked who the hell was making all the money. Because guess what? This Federal Reserve, the people who had took control of that, they started printing money without any representation. So now you got this whole big ass truckload of money, but you ain't got nothing to do with it. We still got the land. So guess what? They started coming to all your people and saying, hey man, you know what? I want to buy this from you. And you be like, nah, I ain't gonna sell it. But then they offer you a ridiculous amount of money. And you be like, what? Okay, shit, nigga, I can survive for 10 generations off that kind of money. Hell yeah, fuck it. Go ahead, you can have it, and I'll go buy me another piece of land and start up on. Well, as soon as you buy your land, guess what they do? They inflate the prices of the dollar. How the hell can you inflate the prices of the dollar? The only way you can do that is if you got an excess money supply. If you can go out here and you can drown everybody else out. Because now that you done bought everything that you want to buy, or you done bought as much as you can buy with what you got, you got to go out here and inflate the prices so that we got to return back to the land. And that's what has happened. If you look at the price of inflation, if you look at how shit used to cost pennies, now it costs dollars. It's because of the fact that they have an unlimited money supply. These people do not have a cap on that shit. So we can continue to keep on trying to build our money. But guess what? They ain't going to do nothing but build theirs even more because they don't have a cap on it. Nobody is asking them, where you getting your money from? We keep on saying, where we getting our money from? We know where we getting our money from. We getting it from them. But nobody asking them, where you getting yours from? So as long as we stop asking them questions, they can continue to control us. So every single time we come up with $2 billion, man, they go right into a damn computer room and create 50 billion. And we so stupid that we ain't even gonna ask about it. They just gonna say, oh yeah, man, we got these from Chinese. Chinese just gave us that. And we'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, you cool, you right. All right, so I'm going to continue to work. I lost. We don't understand, man, that their progression has all happened in just the last 100 years, okay? Since 1929, man, it's 2019 now. It's been 90 years since these folks was broke and didn't have pennies. I'm talking about the treasury for the United States was broke, owing everybody money. But now all of a sudden, these folks got everything. You know, in my generation, I watched the city that I grew up in. I watched these people overnight just basically come out and start, just go from nothing and turn into something, man. You know what I mean? Like my city overnight just built itself up. It's one of the 50 best places to live now. But the thing about it is you got to ask yourself, if these people had possession over America for that long, why in the hell don't Georgia and Atlanta look like New York? It's because of the fact that they never did have possession, man. You look at 1910, these folks just got here. The city that I was living in, man, they had one street in my age. Now all of a sudden you go through there, man, you get lost. Why? It's because their development has finally come in. Immigration has come in. They have finally got people to come in here and work the land. Now that we weren't doing it because we was like, hey, man, you know what? Something ain't right about this shit. We was fighting for equality. We was wondering how y'all keep making more money than us. And we out here working way harder than y'all. It's because we was never checking and balancing the checkbook. Y'all motherfuckers was adding money when we didn't understand that. We still don't understand that. I speak to these niggas about that shit today. Oh, no, brother, we still got to make the money. We got to make the money. The money, we ain't got to make the money. We ain't got to do shit. What we need to do is get away from the money. We need to learn how to make our own resources. Now, I didn't want to get into all that, man. So I'm going to go ahead and end that video right here with that. But I want y'all to understand, man, you know, because I can get carried on, man. I do a lot of research. Y'all got to understand, man. I got a very clear picture of what done happened. And I don't think I know it all. For y'all people that's out there saying, oh, you think you know it all. I just know a lot. I do a lot of fucking research, and I do a whole lot of diligent research, man. Like, I don't sit here and take shit for granted. I don't take shit for what people say, man. I do my own research. I don't think I know everything. By far, man, it's a lot of shit I don't know. But I go out there. Don't knock me for going out here doing the shit that you don't want to do. You want to let other people tell you information, that's fine. But don't knock me for going out here and doing my work. This is the type of work that I do, man. I don't just sit back, bullshit, and listen to other folks and let them tell me what's going on with history, man. History has not changed. People are changing history. Y'all got to understand that. But, you know, man, I went a little further than what I wanted to go. Got a little carried away with that shit, man. But, like I say, man, y'all go back through this shit. Look at this shit, man. Look at these people. Look at them faces. Look at this nigga right here, man. You can't tell me there ain't no nigga. You know what I mean? All these motherfucking niggas, man. You know? This nigga out here, he out here begging them niggas for mercy. You know what I mean? Asking for their help. Them niggas help form him. You know what I mean? And look at what they do to us. But you know, man, I appreciate y'all for taking a little time out this morning to listen to what I had to say, man. Hopefully this will help inspire some people to go out here, do what we gotta do, and get this truth out there. But till next time, man, peace up, A-Town down. Much love, y'all. God bless y'all all. Peace up.